So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. So, today, I'm going to discuss the continuation of the report of my group member. So, I'm gonna talk about the theoretical foundation of post-colonial thought. So, when we talk about post-colonialism, so we're studying how colonialism affected societies, especially those that were colonized, and how those effects are still felt even today. So to understand this deeply, post-colonial thinkers use ideas from other important theories. So these theories help explain how colonialism worked, so how it lasted for so long and how it still influences the world today. So theoretical foundation of post-colonial thought studies draw on diverse theories, including Marxism, which is yung class struggle and imperial capitalism. The second is yung kay Michael Foucault, or the discourse and the power, and the next one is, or the last one is yung Gramsci hegemony. So these or those frameworks help explain how colonial rule was sustained not only through force but through ideology, or culture and education. So here are three of the most important theoretical foundation that post-colonial studies draw from, which is yung number one is yung kay Marxism, or yung tinatawag na class struggle and imperial capitalism. So according sa theory ni Marxism founded by Karl Marx, centers on the idea that history is shaped by the struggle between social classes, especially between the bourgeois, or the rich or the wealthy, or who control production, and the proletariat, or yung the working class, or sila yung mga poor. So in Marx's view, societies is structured around economic system, and major events in history often happen because of the economic exploitation and conflicts. In post-colonial theory, post-colonial thinkers use Marxist analysis to understand colonization as a global economic system. So colonies were not just conquered for land, they were part of an imperial capitalist, or the capitalist strategy. So colonial powers like Britain, France, Spain, and etc. Set up system to extract natural resources, labor, and wealth from colonized lands, and this made the imperial countries more powerful. So colonizers established plantations, or the plantation mines, factories, and trade system that mostly benefited them. So the native population often had no control over their own economies. So traditional economic practice, or the practices, were destroyed or replaced with systems that serve the colonizers. So for example, in India, the British built railways and infrastructure not to develop Indian society, but to transport raw materials like cotton, tea, and the spices. So from rural areas to ports where they could be shipped to Britain. So finished British goods were then sold back to Indian consumers. So Indian industries like textile weaving were deliberately suppressed so they will not compete with British products. So colonialism was an economic system of extraction and exploitation, not just a political or military takeover. So next is the idea of Michel Foucault. So meaning discourse and power. So si Michel Foucault is a French philosopher, changed how we think about power. So he argued that power is not just something that governments or military forces hold, but power is also present in language, knowledge, education, and institutions. So he called this system of thought discourses. So discourses shape what people believe is true, normal, or acceptable. So according to the theory of Michel Foucault ideas help us to understand that colonial control was not just physical. So it was also a mental and ideological. So colonizers use education and of course religion and the media to create ideas or discourses that made colonized people see themselves as inferior and the colonizers as superior. So this is sometimes called epistemic violence, where knowledge is used as a tool of control. So colonizers rewrote history, defined beauty, religion, and intelligence through a European lens, and taught these ideas to colonize people from childhood. Over time, the colonized began to believe these days, even if they were harmful. So for the example, in African and Asian colonies, children were taught European history or European literature and European language in school. So indigenous knowledge, stories, and language were considered primitive or useless. So this created a lasting psychological impact where colonized people viewed their own identity as a less valuable. So colonialism controlled not just land but mind. So by shaping what people thought was true or valuable. So the last one of the theory is the Antonio Gramsci. So si Antonio Gramsci is an Italian Marxist thinker, introduced the concept of hegemony. So when we say hegemony, it is a form of power that is consensual, not forced. So according to Gramsci, powerful groups maintain control by making their ideas and values seem normal, natural, and common sense. So people follow them voluntarily. So the theory of Gramsci, or the Gramsci's theory of hegemony, help us to explain why many colonized people did not rebel or even supported colonial rule. So colonizers spread their culture, values, and their religion and customs, so making them appear superior. So over time, colonized people began to internalize these values, so adapting the colonizers' language, religion, dress, and worldwide view, and sometimes at the expense of their own traditions. So hegemony meant that colonial power did not always need violence. People began to believe in the superiority of European civilization. So colonizers promoted their culture through schools, churches, legal system, and mass media. So making it the standard for success, intelligence, and civilization. So for the example, in the Philippines, under Spanish and later American rule, so Western education and Catholicism were promoted. So as a result, many Filipinos adopted European dress, Spanish and English language, and Catholic practices, wherein believing these were more civilized than indigenous traditions. So even today, Western influence remains strong in Filipino identity. So colonizer did not just force people to follow them; they made people want to follow them by shaping cultural norms and values. So post-colonial theory is not just about looking at what colonizers did. It's about understanding the system of thought and control that allowed colonization to happen and to continue even after independence. So by combining the Marxism or the economic exploitation and the Michael Foucault, which is yung mental and ideological control, and the last one is yung kay Gramsci, or the cultural, and the last one is yung kay Gramsci, or the cultural dominance and consent, where post-colonial thinkers reveal how colonial power was maintained not only through violence but also through ideas, education, religion, language, and culture. These frameworks also help us to understand the lasting effects of colonialism, such as why English or French is still the official language in many former colonies, and why local histories or and knowledge system are often forgotten. And the last one is why former colonies still depend economically on former colonizer post-colonial theory, or why former colonies still depend economically on former colonizer. So post-colonial theory teaches us to critically examine how the world was shaped by empire, and how we can decolonize our minds, system, and societies today. So that will be all. I hope you understand my topic.